everyone, we're about halfway through, just checking in and making sure you're on track. So I added most of the rest of the course. I have a few more things to finish up, but I don't think anyone's ready for the tail end yet. Hopefully that'll be done by Thursday. I am going out of town. I will have access to internet and have a laptop with me and everything, so be sure to let me know if you have questions. I may or may not be able to make extra videos, but I'll have everything ready and for the workbook that you need. So I wanted to just look at the course outline here. So that hasn't really changed other than I've highlighted more things that are ready. And I believe this finance will be finished by today or tomorrow. This statistics is almost done, and the final project's almost done. I do want to make sure you note that this midterm project, you have two different choices, only pick one. So I'll talk about those in a separate video shortly, but it's due, the optimal due date is to get it done by August 5th. The closeout date is August 15th. So make sure after that, I'm not going to grade that. And each project, midterm project is 7.5% of your grade, and the final project is 7.5% of your grade. So that'll make a big difference if you don't do those. As with quizzes, are 7.5% of your grade as well, each quiz. If you have happened to miss a quiz or have had a low score on one of the quizzes or homework or something, I'm going to put in 1 or 2 extra assignments, maybe one for homework, one for a quiz. It may be an electronic quiz, which may seem, that might be a little more challenging. But it might just be an overview of the course, and I'll allow plenty of time so that you can look things up. But that way, if you've missed something, you're not totally out of luck there. But it'll just be one thing. But remember, each unit has a closeout or cutoff, that I'm not going back and grading things. I post the answer keys and such, so I don't want to, can't really take late work on that. And the electronic homework does just lock out. So do make sure you're using late passes for those. One thing I want you to note is, like, you have this to-do list over here. If you know you've done it, you can just cross it out if it's not showing that it's crossed out and you know you did it. I do try to grade like a week after it's the ideal due date, so that I'm not going back in every day to look at different people's things. I try to get when most people have turned it in. So I'll send a reminder out for the next unit. I think it's unit 2. The closeout date is August 1st. So that's coming up relatively soon. So let's look at modules. If you can get to it from here, lesson modules, you can look at discussions, materials. I'm in student mode here. So let's just look at the lesson modules. And you know what you've done. That's just announcements, textbook things if you need them. Here's all the formulas and for basic math and algebra. So you can check those out. That might be something you're wanting to look at now or print out now that you have more things. Syllabus is there. Here's the getting started. You should have all the check marks there, so we can close that. The measurement, geometry, and then problem solving. So you should be all done with this stuff, the unit wrap up as well. And these don't have a check because I don't think I required you to view it. But you'll notice here I took off the prerequisite for this module 2.1. Once the closeout date passes, I'll remove the block. I just want to make sure people are working in order in sequence, but if you didn't get it done, and then I don't want you prevented from ever getting there. Of course, I think some of you have noticed if you, there's an out, like you can submit something, even if it's blank, just to move on, but then you're going to get a 0 for that, that's fine. But just so you know, you can do that just to move on, or submit, you know, just a blank page and saying, you know, I know what's expected, but I just can't get it done right now, I've got to move on, so you don't get behind. So here's all the historical counting. We should be up through, let's see, July 19th is the optimal date for sets. July 22nd is the optimal date for reflections. Again, you have up until August 1st, but try to keep with this schedule. So you should be up through probability at this point. Starting that, have most of that done this week, and all finished up by the 29th. And then there's, again, another quiz and a couple of activities. These activities and discussion are really quick, so you might want to just crank those out. And the midterm project is what I want to bring your attention to. There's no prerequisite on opening that module, so if you want to just go right there and check it out and see your choices. The first one is a timeline. That might involve some you know, research and a little bit of design with it. It's not super challenging. I give you some ideas. I don't know, they'll maybe take you a couple hours to do, 2-3 hours, if that. Some people could get it done really quickly. There's you know, if you just want to get it done and pass it, you know, like with a B or C, probably would be pretty quick. There's a couple of examples here. And I did tell you on the first one, these were done by my colleague Allie, and this is just a streamlined version. This would probably be like B work. I mean, there's not much to it. You kind of fill the requirements. So you do see someone's name there, but she's a professor and allows use of this. So it's just kind of plain. So, and not too much detail in the description. So if you added some more stuff to it, then that would be A. Not real picky on these kind of things, but you do need to have all the pieces there and have them a little more in depth for A work. And then this one's way over the top. It actually isn't fitting all the requirements of the course, like, you know, the title is this just something she found online. But make sure you don't just copy and paste something like this into your upload box. That would be plagiarizing. This is, you know, we did say this is not something we made. So this is too elaborate, just to show you, you know, that has way more detail than we need. About half of this on each thing. Maybe a few sentences on each piece. 2 is probably fine. And not so many pictures, that just makes it a little busy and more time consuming. So just so you can see the expectations. And I wrote that there as well. So then we can go over to the next box. I'm just going to move me over there. And this pertains to just questions. It's ungraded. Just use it as needed if you have questions on the project. And you help each other out. If you have direct questions, just email me or message me in Canvas. If it's only something I can answer, I might not check on this too much. One thing, if you do use this forum, I will notice who's helping out a lot and using these kind of optional things that will be extra credit. The project is due, again, 8/5, and then you have a week to do overdue, no penalty, but that's the, you know, closeout date. So this one is choice 2, which might be easier for a lot of people. However, it is maybe a little more time consuming. So that's something to think about, but it's really fun. My colleague, Carly McAvoy, made this one. I should write that in there. I help with some of the stuff, but so there's a table of contents here. It's all different kinds of math that relate to art. And so there's 4 different art activity sets to do. So do make sure that you see here, because I'm not going to do this in a separate video, but that, let's see, where you have your scoring, like down here. So the end of project 1, that's how many points all these things are worth. We do expect good work, nice work. It should not be kind of just thrown together with like frayed edges of, you know, paper and things like that. Make sure it looks nice. The same thing goes for the timeline. Make sure it looks nice. I mean, you don't have to spend hours upon hours. I would say if you probably do like a good hour or 2 on these, the same you would do as a midterm test. That's the idea. This is your midterm. And the final project is in lieu of a final. Instead of having a 2-hour test for each thing and having to come in and be proctored and stuff like that, this is a more unique experience that hopefully people aren't going to plagiarize or have someone else do it for them. And I think it's fun, and a lot of people really enjoy these kind of activities. Kind of brings the whole course together. So I hope you enjoy that too. The final, you'll have a couple of options. Also, you'll probably have something to do with finance. I'm not exactly sure yet how I want to put that together. And the other option will be a fun and games packet that has a lot of that, like number theory, set theory, some games. And again, that one, you know, may seem like, oh, it's super easy, but it is a little bit time consuming. So the choice is yours how you want to do that. And then again, when you're clicking next through, it's the same project help message board. So do say which project you're working on when you talk about it. So here's the finance. Now you'd have to submit an assignment. You guys know how to do all that to move on. So I'm going to go back to modules here so we can look at what else is coming up. We're doing construction here. So you can see here project choice 1 or 2. So you don't always have to go through clicking next, next, next. I think you all get that now. And I didn't put like, oh, you have to view this and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you should know it's there. There's a project too. You don't have to submit one or the other. I will only grade 1. So only submit 1 and then it won't affect your grade. There won't be a 0 put in. As long as there's not a 0 put in, it doesn't average in against you, the missing one. So here's your finance, and you should be able to see like what's coming up. You can see all the finance work coming. This is a big unit. It's, but I split it apart into separate modules to make it more manageable. So hopefully that's all good. I do have the activities coming soon. So hopefully by the end of, maybe by today, or probably tomorrow morning, the rest of that will be up. And I hope you all have a great day. I hope you do also remember to check on things like if you go to your home page and you're not sure if you've turned things in, like you can go to assignments and you can have things shown by date or shown by type. We could group it like that, like if you want to see. So 25% of participation, I think I do 1 drop. And you can see all the things that you've that are required, and if you've done them, they hopefully have a grade in there if I've graded it. Now I may not have graded it yet, so that's a little bit tricky, but you would know if you've submitted it or not. So here, like one says not yet graded, means I submitted something, but the teacher just hasn't graded it. I have to do those by hand. But like this, it doesn't have anything there. It means I haven't done it yet. So you can kind of do a little cross-checking there. And then here's your projects for the midterm. I'll put the final ones up. They'll be in that same spot. And if you want to see by date, you can look there as well. So it'll just say what's coming up. So you can see, oh, I need to get going on that. I haven't done that yet. So I hope that helps. When you are looking, you can look in your grade book as well, and you can see the percentages of each category. So again, those quizzes, those are in lieu of having proctored tests as well. So that's why it's kind of a big percentage. Normally we do, for online classes, we generally do a pretty good chunk of proctored work, have you come in and take a midterm and final that are worth more than half your grade. But this time I'm hopeful that this will be a better system, and you know, just coming in twice for testing is kind of rough. So I think, and we can't really have you come in a bunch of times for an online course. So using this model and having you write out all your work and all those kind of things, and the participation is a pretty good chunk. I might even look more at that, like if somebody's doing everything on that, they're really going over the top, but maybe the quizzes are a little challenging or they miss something, like I could consider that for extra credit as well. I will write up a whole thing about extra credit and how that will work. It won't be long, but just that there's an opportunity. And usually what I do is there'll be like one or maybe two things, probably electronic, that will grade substitute something missing, like a quiz. And also you get up to 2% onto your course grade if you've been real diligent. There's some people who are really going over the top with helping on the discussion boards, and I do give a little bit of extra credit on those sometimes, but I think, you know, usually I just roll it in 2% onto your course grade. So if you had like a 91 in the class, that's an A minus, but you got 2% extra credit onto your course grade, that's an A. So it's just a more objective way to kind of bump you up over a cusp of a grade. So keep up the great work and let me know if you need anything. And you can see on your grade book if you know what you're missing. Again, some things just aren't graded yet, but you can see due dates very clearly here. So that's kind of nice. So if you're ever wondering, oh, what's got to be graded, and you also have the calendar in Canvas in general. You have to just pick over the far right and you can see what's coming up. But again, like if you're just clicking on these things randomly, you're not going to be able to just open them. You always want to go in sequence and make sure that you're following along in the modules. These are just kind of, you know, cross dates. So the test student, I guess it is me. So have a great day.